Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is a legacy school literacy lesson for year 6. For this lesson, all you're going to need is your Checkpoint 1 textbook, open to pages 36 and 37. This unit has been about autobiographical texts, and we talked about its features and the differences between it and biographies. We also read 3 texts in our textbook and 1 text in our workbook. They were all autobiographies or autobiographical accounts. So in some of them, we focused more on the details of the setting and of the story, and in some the writer actually focused more on how they felt and their vivid memories from that specific situation. So today we're going to be writing our own autobiographical account. So it's not like a full autobiography of your life, but just a memory that you had that resonated with you or that stuck with you and affected your life. The activity you'll find on page 36, it's to write an article entitled When I Was Younger for a magazine aimed at people of your age group. So here our audience, of course, are going to be preteens or teenagers, people between 12 to maybe 14 years old. So make sure that the type of the writing style you're using is something that would appeal to people your age. And we're also going to be writing an article for a magazine. So it's not going to be written like a letter, for example, or a very formal story. It's something that you would read in a magazine. So you should write 1 or 2 memorable experiences that you had when you were of primary school age. So right about now, maybe a little bit earlier in your primary school years. And you could choose to write about things that happened to you in school or when you were with your family or friends. It's completely up to you. It could be a funny memory or a sad memory. One of your classmates actually told us a sad story in school, and everybody could relate to it. So that was a great story. And the others told really funny stories that got everybody giggling. So let's see how you should be writing your story and what you should be writing about. So you've been given a general topic to write about, but the decision as to precisely what it will be is yours alone. You get to decide what you want to write about. Try to choose to write about some things that actually happened. So you can actually embellish a little bit, like add a few things, maybe like a few exaggerations, but definitely choose something that actually happened to you. For example, your first morning at a new school or a family celebration, or maybe even an outing that you enjoyed. What you should write should be based on facts, although there is nothing wrong with embellishing, like I said. You can add some details to make things a little bit more interesting for your reader. As for how much you should be writing, remember this is an article for a magazine, so it shouldn't be too long. You should aim to write about 4 or 5 paragraphs. And when I say paragraphs, I don't mean one long sentence, like some of the submissions I got earlier. Remember, a paragraph has a few sentences in it, minimum of 3. All right. Don't try to include too many details. Try to describe, like, for example, don't try to describe a whole holiday. Concentrate on key elements and key parts of the experience that maybe made it memorable for you. Like, for example, the journey to the holiday, if something funny happened then, or maybe if you fell into the pool, tell me everything about that one thing. So when you're writing, it's very important to focus on or to know who you're writing for. Like we said, you're writing for children of your age group or students of your age group. So you're going to write informally, and make sure you're addressing the reader in a very friendly way and a way that expresses your own personality. Remember, though, to use standard English so that I can understand what you're writing. Some slang terms are okay, they're acceptable, but make sure you're not writing, like, for example, the word you as the letter U or anything like that. We still want standard English and proper spelling and punctuation. All right, we can look at page 37 now in your textbook, and it's all about how you should organize your writing and what words will best capture the experience. So it's worth spending a few minutes before you start to write and to think about, for example, how you're going to describe the events as they happen. So you can start by writing what exactly happened first and decide, are you going to write in chronological order? Like, are you going to write the events exactly how they happened? Or are you going to start at the end of the story and then have a flashback to the beginning? That's completely up to you. And also think about, do you want the main focus to be describing what actually happened? Or do you want to spend more time writing about your feelings and the way that you responded to what happened? Just like, for example, the text that Stephen Gerrard wrote. Of course, it's entirely down to you, but it's important to ask these questions, as doing so will help you produce a piece of writing which is both interesting and consistent in its approach. All right, so these are the things that you should be figuring out in the planning stage of your writing. As for what words will best capture the experience, you've already decided that you will take an informal approach to writing. We're writing for people our age, or for people your age. So, but you don't have to be overly chatty in your writing. Make sure that you have a clear picture in your mind of the details of the event, and then think about choosing the best words to describe them and make them come alive in the mind of the readers. I would prefer that you use figurative language because it always spices up your writing and always makes it more interesting. And think carefully about the small details which will make the description clear. Maybe using creative verbs and adverbs. Like, for example, the teacher, instead of writing the teacher led us into the room, you can write the teacher led us into the room. You can write the teacher strode purposefully into the room and we followed eagerly. So here this paints a clear picture in our mind, and it's definitely way more exciting. All right. So now your task, if we go back, is to write 5 or 6 paragraphs about something that happened to you, something memorable that happened to you. Okay, you're going to be using the first person, of course, because this is an autobiography, and you're going to try to use colorful vocabulary. Remember, you're writing for somebody your age. Your audience is children your age, and this is supposed to be a magazine article as well. So I can't wait to see your work. If you have any questions, you can always send me a message through the Seesaw app.